call this meeting to order on this 20th day of July 2026. And if you're able, stand with us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and can we get roll call?
Everybody needs to fix their microphones. They're all pointed up.
Ellenboss? Ellenboss?
Present. Speak up, son.
Hopkins?
Here.
Angles?
Here.
French?
Yes, here.
Mayor Powell?
Here. Thank you. And the next is approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended, to add a banner request under communications.
Second.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Angles?
Yes.
French?
Yes.
Ellenboss?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes. And at this time, we'll go ahead and open up public comments. This is the opportunity for the public. Comment provides the public with a chance to make a statement regarding any subject matter. Public comment is not an opportunity to necessarily ask questions or converse with city staff, council members, or other meeting attendees. And you guys are more than welcome to contact us. Our information's on the Cadillac-mi.net website, and comments are limited to 3 minutes. And unused time may not be yielded back or given to anyone else. And if you could sign in, and when you're done, I'll start the clock.
Okay, my complaint here today is I'm here to complain about the methane gas that's being released from the Weckford County Jail. This has been an ongoing problem ever since they put the sewer line down behind my house. Matter of fact, I'm Tim Lamphere. I live at 902 Sunberg Street, and they got a drain out in the center of the street with holes in it. And let me get back to where I was. They drain it from the county jail. This has been ongoing for ever since they done it, and it's phone calls to one person. I made phone calls to one person to another, and I got the same results. Nothing. They put sanitizer bags in the holes to cover up the smell. Now that doesn't take care of the problem. That just takes care of the smell. But you're still breathing the gas. It's harmful to everybody. Just think, you spent thousands of dollars putting a park in at Diggins Hill just for them to smell that. Shame on you. And if you're eating when that smell comes out, you're leaving. You're done. And when they drain the tanks, the manhole cover vibrates the street. It pops up and down. It bobbles. Something's not right. They need a vent on top of Diggins Hill above the city so nobody has to smell that. I'd rather live next to the city sewer plant than where I am now. So, and that's all I got to say.
Have a seat.
Was it Tim? Thank you, Tim.
There, yeah.
Good evening. Bill Barnett, 915 Stimson. I'm here to ask the city to improve communication. Ask you to put on your agenda your issues that are going on through the IPP program, the wastewater plant issues, the violations you're under, and get these talked about, worked out, settled, and improved. I'm curious if the council was told about these violations when it came down to your evaluation process. I'm guessing not. Heard from one prior one, and that person didn't hear since 2020, was never told, or 21, or now. You have a long problem that's been going on, a complete failure of your IPP program. The performance is terrible. I don't want to see one of you in jail. I don't want the environment hurt. I'm going to ask you guys to please fix what's going on again. I'm coming back again with communication requests. Come on. Tell the council, tell the public, uphold your responsibilities. You have a duty to inform. You need to inform the public. If there's spikes, if there's spills, illegal discharges, no consequences. Let's help industry. Let's support them. Let's work on this openly, figure out what's been going on wrong, because it's a mess. The wastewater plant has been poorly managed. There's metals that are going in the river, and you guys know it. If you don't, they know it. The state knows it. They've been overly nice to you, and now they're putting their foot down. And it's been going on too long. Can we please stop the metals from going into the river? I think you should be having emergency meetings. You have one meeting in July, one in August. You should be meeting every week on this. Now that you know, I don't know how that works where you're not told about this. I'd like to hear if any of you have heard. Please set more meetings. This is industrial pollution. You have an IPP. I think you need an IPP board, just like the LDFA. It took them 2 years to figure out most of it. Get a board. Get a bunch of good citizens on it that will help. Do something to not hide this anymore. We need to make cuts in our budget. And you know, I see firemen here. They're the meat, they're the bread and butter of your whole city. Law enforcement, fire. Come on, police and fire. That's what comes out of the major budget. The other stuff, run a millage on the other stuff that you might not need, or just cut it. Please make cuts. Please change what's happening. Change the culture. The culture is not changed. I'm here 2 years later, and we're right back where we were. Secrets, no notice, and lack of trust. I'm going to ask you guys to please step up here, because nobody else is. 16 million gallons, 21 days late on a notice. Add that to the violation notices. The other one goes on for 7 pages. Oh my gosh. Hire the right people. I'm not saying fire anybody, but hire somebody, please, to get us out of this before there's nothing left of the Clam River. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Bill.
And everyone else.
Members of the Cadillac City Council, Madam Mayor, Mr. What are you? Anyways, my name is Bill Swank. I'm from the Cadillac Wexford County Public Library Board. For the past 2 years, I've been trying to get a copy of the lease agreement between the City of Cadillac and the library, and I have received nothing. I came to the administration office last year and asked for it, and they sent me a bunch of material from years ago, just correspondence between like the previous mayor's office, the previous city manager's office, and attorneys, and financial statements between the city council and the library. And most of them were 30, 40 years ago. So what I would like to see you do, if you can't find a copy of this lease, we need to get some kind of a committee together between the board and the city council and get another lease drawn, because we've been putting over $200,000 into that building, and you know, we don't own it, you guys own it. So we're kind of in a hard spot. We really don't know where to go from here. So I'm asking for your help. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Dale Whaley, 215 Wright Street.
Nicole Whaley, 215 Wright Street.
Just want to know what you guys have plans for the walk path between Lake Street and the railroad tracks. There's an awful lot of unsupervised children back there, and they're throwing rocks and they're harassing the older people.
My brother-in-law
Got his jaw broke.
has a broken jaw now because of this on Friday night. I don't feel comfortable in my own yard they harass us. And this has been going on for several years.
Yes.
But it's just recently gotten physical. The police are doing nothing. They apparently don't even get the kids' names. They don't do anything to them. What are the consequences for these kids that are just running amok? And we just need something done, because it's getting out of hand.
ridiculous. Cleaned up both sides of the bridge last year, 37 needles on one side, 32 needles on the other side. That's ridiculous.
Anything you want to say?
No, really,
No.
they
I'm gonna
need
talk to you later.
put some more loitering signs or something down there, keep people moving around. They can't just hang out back there.
Yeah, they're
and
just
harassing the
hanging
public.
out. And it never used to be like that. The cops would go down there all the time and they would just shoo them out of there because they
But
couldn't.
now they just keep
couldn't
coming
hold
back.
it.
It's unreal.
But they just
We'll talk.
don't seem to do anything. So if you could maybe, I don't
No
know,
loitering signs would be great.
something,
And then people can
help us
be-
out, please.
People can be trespassed from public property. The city council has to do it.
Right. But I'm under the impression that these kids are also doing other things in town. I don't know that 100%, but, you know, there's been a lot of stolen vehicles. Like I said, not 100% sure it's the same kids,
More than likely.
but I'd probably bet money on it. So,
Thank you. Try to
Thank
do
you.
something.
thank you for listening to us.
Thank you.
Give it to Dan. Give it to Dan. At the end of the green library.
Yeah.
Street. I rode my bike there.
Seeing. Just a look at this.
Good evening, Art Stevens. And I first of all just wanted to give credit to Mayor Powell. I know there's been a little bit of time since the flood situation. It was a really rough thing that was going on in our community. And while it seemed like maybe nothing was going on, you personally stepped up and helped orchestrate and organize a lot of different aspects to help people that were in trouble. And I also appreciate the fact that you were pretty quiet about making it known your efforts in it. But that really was impressive, being especially brand new. You weren't even hardly in council and faced with a situation like that. You deserve a lot of credit. So I wanted to say thank you for that. Just in addition, I know I've been here in the past on the issues of just making sure the council, you having been on here for 16 years, you guys have a right to information. And I know that it was frustrating, as I had brought to your attention before, when like the Papadopoulos report that had been on for many years when I was on council, and we were never notified about this, that was showing contamination. And I know it seems like we're constantly getting things that are coming up with the utilities that, speaking with some of you, you're not, it didn't sound like you probably had all that information given to you, but you do have a right. They should be telling the city manager he has a right. And if staff doesn't pass that on to the city manager and doesn't pass it on to you, things just linger. And it seems like it gets to a point where it's a pattern. It's been going on a lot of years, and I just encourage you guys to do whatever you can to help support the city manager so that he gets that information from staff into you, so you can help make decisions that might help prevent certain things, especially when they're health related with the water issues and such. So thank you again. Have a good night. Thanks.
Thank you, Art.
Linda Durant. I live over in Kenwood Park, and I really don't have a complaint. I get along with all of you. I have a question, which I know you can't answer, but if someone would get back with me, I'd appreciate it. I am just wanting to know what the situation is with the grant for the water systems. We do have a well. And not only do I want safe water, my well's starting to die. And with the 13 trees I had to have taken out from the ice storm, which was a real hefty price, and then Lake Cadillac going through my house, which we still have to fix all that, I'm tapped out. And I need city water at the house. So I'm just hoping that there is some information or an update on the grant that was looking into for this. And obviously there's other issues in town that need to be taken care of. If there's a safety issue behind Whaley's house, that's horrible. And I know we're not the only one that has a well in town. So I'm not the only person, and some people have worse quality water than what mine is. So I don't expect that I am that big a problem for everybody right now, but I do appreciate all the work that all of you are doing. And when we had Lake Cadillac going through our house, I saw you there. I saw you there asking if we needed anything. Well, we were handling it. Luckily, and I'm very thankful, all we had was Lake Cadillac going through my house. We didn't have any sewage water. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda. Seeing no one else, we'll close public comments. And consent agenda is up next.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Ingalls,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. Community spotlight.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. This evening, the development team that are building the Lakeland apartment complex, 252 unit development, are here to talk about their public amenities that they're hoping to be able to put in as a part of the overall project as our community spotlight. We do have Diego, our city clerk, if you could bring up the site plan. So we do have overall image of the site plan. The area that is highlighted with a purple outline identifies essentially the zone where the public amenity piece would be. That would be a public walking trail as well as a public dog park. There's also a rendering of what that might look like if you want to switch to that. And then I'd like to invite up Kyle and I thought I saw, yep, Paul, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
To talk to us a little bit about your plans and
Absolutely.
how things are going and whatnot.
Yeah, Kyle Fryer, KMF Construction and Development.
Paul Granzato, Keller Williams.
So, yeah, just to kind of hit on the project that we're doing currently, it's going well. We're framing the first building currently, so it's coming out of the ground. We're about halfway done with framing, and we are pushing to have those 36 units open in December.
Oh, wow.
We're trying to pre-lease around a month from now, once we get the structure up and the roof on and stairwells in and that kind of stuff. So that part of it's going well. But as we look down the road, we're kind of thinking, you know, we had the idea of this city parcel, and a good majority of it's wetland. And so there's a small portion on this parcel that we thought we could put one more 36 unit building. And if you actually go to that other rendering, that'd be great. So you can kind of see that apartment building there on the east side of the parcel. And so we would parcel off a section of that, and the remainder would still remain the city's. And kind of the idea that we had in return, we would build an amenity for the city with dog park, 3/4 of an acre dog park with parking and walking path throughout the city parcel.
One of the encumbrances, just as a refresher for the public, really, city council knows, but one of the encumbrances to moving that plan or that concept forward is based on the current zoning. It requires a vote of the people, which is why there's currently a ballot question on the August primary ballot. It's the last question on the back page of the ballot itself that essentially asks if the city could have the ability to sell that property. And so, you know, without the community support, the public trail, public dog park, and then the additional building that you're looking at wouldn't even be plausible. So, you know, before you guys get too far down the road with that plan, the thought was to try to see where everyone's at. And council, of course, supported the concept by putting the question forward several months ago. I don't remember the meeting. I want to say was it March, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So.
I know I think one concern that came up was there's a lot of the city's retention that ends up on that property. And none of that would change. Like I said, we would stay out of the wetland area and put that building on the upland section. And there's also a small upland section where the dog park would go also. So, and then the city would remain owner of that section.
The number that I had mentioned, the 250 units, is that including the other building, or is that current?
That is before the last building.
So
another 36 units.
So just for frame of reference for the public and for council, right now, this is the largest multifamily apartment development the city has ever seen, and would just get a little bit bigger. You know, market pending, you're building it obviously out in phases.
Yep.
So, you know, really a cool project overall, especially with the public spaces that could be a part of it.
Yeah, I would utilize it's a gorgeous piece of property, and to be able to have walking paths around it, you know, for be amenity for the residents of Lakeland Apartments, but obviously be a great amenity for the city of Cadillac too.
And gentlemen, one of the items on the agenda this evening under the manager's report is an update from our executive director of the Cadillac Wexford Transit Authority. And you know, this is the kind of thing that potentially could lead to establishment of a fixed route, you know, bus stop or something as well in terms of overall density. You know, should this all get built out in all of its phases? And so it's really, you know, really a special project. You know, Cadillac has not seen anything of this magnitude ever. So
It's gonna be good.
yeah. Is there anything else you want to show on the rendering or
yeah, if you wanted to go back
Yeah.
to the rendering, it is just a rendering. It's kind of generic, but that's roughly what it would look like. Yeah, I think it. Like I said,
And that's the building that you were referring to?
Yep. Yep. Like I said, I think it's 9 acres total. A good portion of the property is wetland, so you'd be kind of utilizing the little bit of upland there is, and keeping the wetland for retainage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
To public hearing.
Yes, we do have one public hearing this evening. I'm going to introduce our Community Development Director, Teresa Waldo, if you wouldn't mind.
this is for the 1415 Sunnyside Drive? Or is this for the
Yes.
Vista grant?
No,
Okay.
this is the,
14.
yeah, to vacate the alley.
Yep. So Cadillac City Council is reviewing a resolution to adopt the attached ordinance vacating an alley located at 1415 Sunnyside Drive, reserving 20-foot easement rights per the attached exhibit. A 2025 survey of the property found that the alley was never properly vacated in the 1950s or 60s. The Cadillac and Wexford County GIS system shows that the alley was vacated, but there appears to be a clerical error at some point during this transaction. Staff agreed to process this alley vacation again at no charge to the current property owner. The Planning Commission approved a resolution to recommend vacating the alley at 1415 Sunnyside. Request council action. Council is asked to approve the attached resolution to adopt the ordinance vacating the alley at 1415 Sunnyside Drive, retaining 20-foot easement rights.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add to that?
Nope, that's it.
It's just kind of cleaning up the
Yes.
map.
Open the public hearing.
Go ahead and open up public
Yep.
hearing. Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. Get a motion.
Yes, I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2026-10, vacating the alley at 1415 Sunnyside Drive and reserving a public easement.
Support.
French,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Engels,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. On to appointments.
Diego, you're up.
So moving on to appointments. First up for the LDFA, we have Ricardo Bianchini. If I said that right?
Yep.
Know if he's in attendance tonight?
No.
Doesn't have to be. So for the LDFA motion, what we're looking for really the action is for him, it would be a 4-year term on the LDFA, and that would expire in 2030.
I would make motion to appoint Ricardo Bianchini, or the Bianchini, to a 4-year term on the LDFA, which will expire on 7/20/2030.
Support.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Engels,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Thank you. Next up, we have, next few are for the Cadillac Historic District Commission. That is a 3-year term expiring on 2029, and the first person appointee is Martin Dubrovic.
I'd make a make a motion to appoint Martin Dubrovic to a 3-year term on the Cadillac Historic District Commission, which will expire on 7/30/29.
Support. 7/20/29.
Hopkins,
7/20/29. Said 7/30. 7/30. Yeah.
7/20/29.
Yes. Sorry.
Engels,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
I just wanted to make sure that you can have 2 people in the same household on it. Okay. I just wanted to double check that.
And just for reference also, there was a point in time where Mr. and Mrs. O'Neill both served on our Cadillac West Corridor Improvement Authority, so this would not be the first time.
Okay. Just wanted to double check. Yes.
All right, and then as well as Connie Boyce for the same commission, Cadillac Historic District, again, 3-year term and expiring the same time, 2029.
Well, I'll make a motion to appoint Connie Boyce to a 3-year term on the Cadillac Historic District Commission, which will expire on 7/20/2029.
Support.
Second.
Engels,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Okay. That was it for appointments. Onto communications. We have a street closure request. This is the street closure of Mitchell Street from Cass Street to Nelson Street, August 8th, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. This is for a market event.
I'd make a motion to approve closure of Mitchell Street from Cass Street to Nelson Street on August 8th, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Support.
French,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Engels,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Following that, we have the Festival of Races taking place in September. And September 5th, and they will be asking for street closures as well. It looks like it is from Chestnut Street, from Pine Street / Lake Street intersection to Linden Street and Colfax Street, as well as Leeson Street, or to Leeson Street. That's 6 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. and it looks like they have all sorts of races, 5Ks all the way to marathons.
I'd make a motion to approve closure of Chestnut Street from Pine Street, Lake Street intersection to Linden Street and at Colfax to Leeson Street on September 5th, 2026, from 6 a.m. to 7:30 a.m.
Support.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Engels,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Alrighty, we have the now moving on to an alcoholic beverage request. Looks like the American Vets, there's a birthday party going on. They have a request to approve the alcoholic beverage. Looks like it's will be a long party, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. on August 29th.
I make a motion to approve the alcoholic beverage request for an AmVets birthday party on August 29th, 2026, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Support.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Engels,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
And this is the amended item that was brought to us, a banner request for the Veterans Expo. This looks like the banner will be up from, they wanted July 27th to August 3rd. That is the action wanted.
I'll make a motion to approve the banner request for the Northwest Michigan Veteran Expo from July 27th, 2026 to August 3rd, 2026.
Second.
Engels,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Okay. You're up. I'm up. A few items under the manager's report this evening. First item is our flood update that we've had as a standing agenda item since the flood occurred in April. The update I was going to share with everybody today is that our 44 Road Water Operations Center is the current home for the Small Business Administration and FEMA for folks needing to come in and file claims. I think that it's special that we're able to get them to our relatively new facility in the training room and conference room areas where people can spread out and get the assistance that they need. The Any questions on any of that?
Well, I'd just like to make a comment. I think they have till the 31st of this month to get registered with FEMA, and I've heard checks are going out, so I encourage people, if they've had damage, to go ahead and make that trip, bring your paperwork to the facility and meet with a advisor or a person there
Right.
to get signed up and get your damages reported, so that hopefully you'll be able to get some assistance.
And the city too is in that same boat, if you will, in terms of responding and getting information in to try to get reimbursed ourselves for various expenses.
That was my question.
And I would like at the next council meeting, as part of the flood update, to briefly go over the 24-hour discharge requirement and the Eagle issues.
Sure.
That we've been having too. I imagine that'll be a short conversation with Jeff here. That would go pretty easy. So.
Yeah.
And I know we've the paper did cover that, but I'd like an opportunity for us to ask Jeff some questions and explain that a little better to everyone.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no
Okay.
problem.
Good idea.
PFAS, we actually have an item on our agenda in just a minute down the road here regarding the PFAS plan. This is in regards to the $8.2 million state grant that we have been awarded. We are still waiting for the federal grant that was around 1.4, I believe, million, for that process to really kick off in full. It has moved into the arms of the EPA, but we are now a lot further down the line with the state of Michigan, which is a great thing. The plan that you're going to hear about this evening from Prine & Newhoff Engineering is basically the engineering plan that will bring municipal water service to everyone within the city that is on a private well. It will also cover the costs of their capping of their private well, closing down of their private well. So it's really a turnkey solution. I don't know if it's possible for us to have a date in terms of when we think that's going to happen, and I'm putting our engineering team, Ernie and Connie, on the spot here. If I had to guess, at the earliest, this is a next construction cycle process, and it's just because of all of the bureaucracy that we have to go through and hoops that we have to go through to get this thing done. But it is moving, whereas in months past I was reporting that nothing was moving. It is moving at this point. Are there any comments that we have? I mean, it's okay if there aren't. So, okay. Carrie Thompson is here this evening. Carrie Thompson is our executive director for the Transit Authority. WEX Express is the current sort of shorthand for it. I think a lot of people may still know you by Cadillac Wexford Transit Authority. Carrie is here to just give our community an update.
Yeah, and here I'm going to pass on some ridership reports for all of you. But,
cool, thank you.
My name is Carrie Thompson. I'm the Executive Director for Cadillac Wexford Transit Authority, also known as WEX Express. And I'm actually here to give you guys an update. We've had a great year. We're actually busting at the seams with ridership, which you're going to see here in a minute. In the month of October, we did over 15,000 rides in 1 month, which is a record for the transit in a 1 month period. Right now, we're doing just over 150,000 rides annually. We have a ton of programs, some that we've had for many years and others that are brand new. We're transporting during the school year about 300 kids a day for school of choice, and we're also taking about 70 kids from the YMCA, from the middle school over to the YMCA. The YMCA has a great program there where they actually have a grant to pay for all middle schoolers to come in and use their facilities, so that's been great for us. We also did trips out to the ski hill this year, so out to Cabernet. We actually transported 1,200 kids out there, which is a great time. The kids get to put down their tablets, go enjoy nature, those kind of things, right? So we've really enjoyed doing that. We are up for a millage this year. It's just a renewal. There's no increase. It's 0.6 mils. We actually have had the same millage for over 20 years now. And we are working really hard to keep that low. We understand that, you know, things are tough for people right now, and we want to make sure that we are increasing that. And this will actually lock us in for another 6 years. So it'll be a close to 30 years that we've had the same millage, and we're really proud of that. We've been doing that by balancing, bringing in federal and state grants. Those of you who know me, I'm a pretty tenacious grant writer, and when it comes to federal competitive grants, I've worked really hard to bring those back to rural Wexford County. They don't need to always go to, we'll say, Lansing or Detroit or LA or Phoenix. I work really hard to bring those back here. And you can see that with some of the ridership. If you're looking at it there with the total ridership, you see June of last year, we were at 11,510 rides in June. And this June, we were up 1,200 from that, so we were at 12,744 rides. We're continuing to bring new programs in. We actually have a federal grant that we work with the COA and the Wexford County Veterans, and we have a team of volunteers, and we do mileage reimbursement, and we take them to specialist appointments all over the state. And you can see that is, if you look at it, that's the new Freedom number. So in the month of June, we did 227 of those rides, getting seniors and veterans to those places. We also did 652 rides for dialysis and cancer treatment and all kinds of different places that we are taking them here locally. So we have a really wide span, and we try to every year listen to the community and do more and more, but we are keeping that millage low. I'm looking for it in other places, so thank you all for that. But I just wanted to know, do you guys have any questions about the transit or anything that's going on? No?
I'm excited that the new Freedom Project is expanding and being used and being taken advantage of. It's a great program for seniors needing to get to doctor appointments in Ann Arbor or Traverse City or wherever if they can't afford transportation. So.
Yeah. And we actually have 15 volunteers that help with that program. They use their own vehicles. It's rewarding for them. A lot of them are veterans and would like to take veterans, or are seniors and take seniors. So that's been really great. And the federal grant actually reimburses for the mileage, so it allows the COA and Wexford County to stretch those dollars further, because it's a 50-50 matching grant for that mileage. And we have lots of other programs too. I'd be here all night if we started talking about all the programs, but I just wanted to give you guys a chance to ask questions and tell you all thank you for the partnership with you guys and the county. We have great partnerships, and we want to continue to grow those. So if you need anything from us, please make sure that you are reaching out. We would be happy to do our best to accommodate whatever it is that you guys are looking for. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Carrie.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you, Carrie.
The next item on the agenda is the specific project planning public meeting component for the PFAS project that I referred to earlier, or the water system improvements project. And before I invite our engineers to come up and give the debrief, I wanted to say a couple things. One, there are a lot of details about this project that we still do not yet have access to know how it will ultimately all come down. And so I'll give you a for instance. You know, I had mentioned that it's, you know, $8.2 million project. We plus have another $1.5 million from the federal government, which should be presumably adequate to cover, you know, the connections of everybody in the city. I've been on the public record in the past about talking about how we absolutely want to also connect our township neighbors that have impacted properties. Mary Street in Herring Township, as a for instance, is one that we know is a hot area. Our understanding from the state of Michigan is that it's not a problem as long as they're being serviced by the city's water supply system. I've also been on the public record saying that we are not at all looking at any kind of a land transference relationship, meaning we're not looking at any annexation, we're not looking at any kind of a 425. It would be, to use the word simple, it would be some sort of a intergovernmental agreement whereby we would receive those folks
as customers to our system. And then Herring Township, if it's Herring in this instance, would then have to agree to allow for the extension of our water infrastructure into the township area. But one of the big details that we still don't have any idea about is everybody going to be required to connect? Is only half the people going to be required to connect? There might be people on private wells that don't want to connect. Do we have to force them? Should we force them? Is the state going to say you have to have a certain percentage? Otherwise, you're going to not get the grant funds to do the project. We don't know that yet, and therefore the policy questions to discuss and debate, if there even are some of these options, we're not really able to have them yet. This is just a very preliminary point in this step of getting to the point where we will get a grant agreement or a draft grant agreement from the state of Michigan that's going to outline all of these very important questions that we're going to then need to be able to address. And so I just wanted to sort of set that as a foundation, as a reminder to council and to the public. We're just not there yet. So at that point, Ernie, coming up? Connie's going to just cheer you on and not heckle you? Okay.
Thank you very much, City Manager.
Thank you.
So this is my first time in front of the Cadillac City Council, so I appreciate your time. My name is Ernie Sarcapedo. I'm a water process engineer with Prine and Newhoff. I work out of the Grand Rapids office, actually. Just a little bit about me. I've spent 22 years as a environmental engineer, and since approximately 2018 have been helping communities in North Kent County deal with PFAS and drinking water. So this is not a new concept and a subject to me, but I've seen how difficult it can be for a community. So I appreciate where you've been and also where you may be going. Oh, thank you, Diego. Got a clicker. So why are we here right now to talk about this? Eagle, the administrator of the funding, as City Manager was speaking of, indicated to the team, the city, Prine and Newhoff, several months ago that a project planning document would be required for this grant funding application. And a project planning document is their tool to assess alternatives and look at potential impacts to environmental resources or cultural resources. And it is also an opportunity for a public presentation, public comment, and it typically culminates, in fact, Eagle would require it to culminate in order to secure funding, a vote of approval for a resolution to adopt the plan. And so the resolution, a sample resolution, I think was included in your packet. So that's the high level, why we're here. I expect there will be public comment, and I expect there may be questions from you, and that's the point. So I think we have a sign-in sheet here, and we'll likely rely on that, which is great. And this is just a little outline of what we'll talk about, and I'll try to be brief because it's a pretty long agenda for you all. So just to talk a little bit on the timeline of events, as you're all aware, and I am learning, this has been going on for a few years. Around October of 24 was when PFAS contaminants were first began to be studied in the city, primarily led by Eagle, state of Michigan. Eagle then saw fit to hold a few public meetings in early 2020, late 2024 and early 2025. I believe sampling was sort of throughout. The city of Cadillac adopted a PFAS management plan in October of 2025, and that will show itself here in this presentation. And the good news of the entire saga is the announcement of a funding opportunity through the federal and state governments in December of 2025. So that brings us more or less to today, where we're holding a public meeting to discuss. And then moving forward, a potential timeline to get at City Manager's questions earlier. Following a vote to approve and a vote to approve the resolution, Eagle will publish what is called an environmental assessment. This is a necessary step in the federal funding realm, essentially clearing the project from any environmental or cultural concerns. It's a necessary step in order to secure a grant agreement. And so we're on the timeline here, but we're not quite there. Likely design will be wrapping up, and we would be able to submit for permits in the fall of 2026. And around that timeline, we would hope a grant agreement could be formalized and things could be more or less secured at that point, which does likely bring construction into the early 2027 and probably throughout 2027. So that's just to set the stage of where we've been here. This grant opportunity really began from the IIJA at the federal level, Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. It is administered through the state of Michigan, and so there's a federal to state component that causes the bureaucratic slowdown as well. It is a 100% grant, and that is rare and a rare opportunity. As I said, this is a project planning document meeting, and will follow by Eagle's environmental assessment. This meeting and the plan that we're discussing here has been noticed for at least 10 days, which is a state requirement. Made available to the public for review and comment on the city's website, I will add. And following this meeting, we will summarize and address public comments that may have been received and submit the final project planning document to Eagle. And I've already talked about the resolution. So, getting into it a little bit, we'll review, and I'll try to move more quickly here. As you may know, there are 6 groundwater wells that do serve the City of Cadillac water system, the municipal water supply. They have not had PFAS detections, importantly to state. They are at a deeper aquifer, and that typically means they're more protected. There is one elevated water tower, and of course a network of distribution system pipes. And within all of that, there are a lot of private wells. So a very small map that may be difficult for you to see, but these tiny dots on this map represent potential sources of contamination in the city. We completed an environmental assessment, our own environmental report, Prine and Newhoff, of what is in the city, what has there been, whether it's underground fuel tanks or industrial activities. And not every dot here is known contamination, but they certainly do represent some degree of risk and potential contamination. And in consideration of that, this is a summary graphic from an Eagle public presentation. Again, very difficult to read, but you do see the yellow and red dots, which are the important ones. These are areas where there have been samples for PFAS with known results that are of a concerning level. Of course, at private wells within the city. And so you start to get the picture between the last slide, all the potential sources, and this slide, the locations that have been sampled and detected. There's a high level of concern for public health for private well owners. Contamination is such that it is not static, it moves, and over time, things that once had no detections now do. Boy, that's not showing up at all. There are areas within the city that do not have municipal water available at this time, and this map maps within the project planning document are more legible. And there are also areas that do have municipal water available. And so the proposed projects that were first identified in the City of Cadillac's PFAS management plan, I believe is the term, really identified essentially 5 projects that would be intended to serve both people who don't have municipal water available and those that do. And so we'll walk through those. I guess I want to say right here, the order of the next slides has no particular importance. It essentially starts in the upper left and moves across the map. And so the first you'll see is, in fact, this small proposed extension of City of Cadillac water main. into an area that is in fact Herring Township. This project would very much require collaboration and cooperation between the governments. The goal is to connect up to 38 properties with private wells in an area that does have a demonstrated, a certain amount of demonstrated concern for contamination of those wells. So it would essentially entail running a buried water main pipe through the roads shown and connection of those parcels. Estimated costs of just short of $1 million for construction. So we call this project number 1, even though it is by no means the highest of priorities for the city or for the township. Simply giving it a number. Just to the south of there, in fact, you can almost see project 1 to the north, is along Division Street and Marathon Drive. Again, this is an area with private wells that have had PFAS detection. A number of them have had PFAS detections. Very similar in nature to project number 1, an extension of the city of Cadillac's water system. Up to 23 properties served to the tune of approximately $1.3 million for this particular project. Number 3 is south of the lake, Indiana, Pennsylvania, and Illinois. Again, private wells, known contamination. It's the same kind of story here. This one would service up to 9 properties to the tune of just short of $500,000. And number 4, we're now in the western portion of the city. There are a few of the city's water supply wells in this area on Cobb Street. This is a fairly large extension of the existing water main to service areas that have private wells that may not yet have many signs of contamination. This would offer benefits to the city's water system as well in terms of connecting dead-end points, essentially, and creating looping, which is of benefit. So this project is coming in around just over $3 million. And finally, there are, again, a number of privately owned wells that already have water main frontage, shall we say, and connection of those wells is a significant cost. There may be up to 170 properties. As the city manager was saying, I don't think anyone in this, certainly at this podium or in this room is saying that everyone must connect, because those answers are not available to us right now. But the potential is up to 170 properties. To no small cost, $2.5 million, simply to connect homes and abandoned wells. And with those 5 projects, we feel that the opportunity to make connections to the city water system is robust, and a turnkey solution was a term used by the city manager. We've essentially covered all the bases and then some, with a little bit of extension into Herring Township if that were to be the preference. So one part of the project planning document exercise, as scripted by Eagle, is essentially to consider what alternatives are there to these high dollar amount projects. They, in fact, even have a script of which alternatives you should consider. For one being do nothing. That would seem somewhat irresponsible, given the knowledge of PFAS and its nature to cause harm to the human body when consumed in drinking water. A regional solution could be considered. However, the city of Cadillac's water system is far more capable in order to serve properties within its own boundaries than an adjacent municipality would be. And even in the small case of Herring Townships, the project number 1, if you look at the map of the 2 water system, the city of Cadillac's much closer to serving that area than Herring Township's own system is, therefore being a cheaper solution. And optimizing the existing system is Eagle's language to say, well, can what we have now do the job? And we're saying yes, it can, but it's going to take 5 projects to really fully capture the area of concern. Again, just to highlight, the grand total projected cost estimate is $8.2 million, as was stated. It is again 100% grant and no cost to the taxpayer or water bill payer, as it were. A great opportunity from a funding standpoint. So, as I stated, we followed Eagle's requirements and conducted an environmental review, looking at various sources of contamination. We talked to the State Historic Preservation Office and the Tribal Historic Preservation Officers to ensure that projects proposed wouldn't disturb Native American burials, and there are some in the city, and so we looked fairly closely at those. We looked at wetlands, lakes, floodplains, soils, etc. Essentially, no big concerns or red flags, and so that is sort of the statement that this document makes to Eagle and to the public. And then also threatened and endangered species, looking for critical habitats, whether those would be disturbed, and no real concerns came of those items. This is a real busy summary slide, just to say we typically look at, are there beneficial impacts to these projects? Are there negative, adverse impacts to these projects? How might we mitigate those negative, adverse impacts? The typical temporary adverse impacts to construction do exist: noise, dust, the various things that go along with that. And there are some measures that can be taken, but at the end of the day, construction is construction, and it can be disruptive for a short period of time. But there are beneficial impacts, obviously. Clean drinking water, or the opportunity to pursue clean drinking water, is certainly a huge benefit and the whole point. It would also increase system reliability and just the efficiency of the existing system, a better connected network, essentially. There are no negative impacts on air quality, scenic rivers, agricultural lands. These are all boxes we have to check, so I won't bore you with too many more of those details. So that's essentially what I have for you. From here, again, the council is certainly welcome to discuss, ask questions of me or Brian Newhoff's team. Public has been given and will be given at the end of the meeting, I believe, more opportunity to comment on this subject. Again, the vote to approve a resolution, specifically, I believe it's included in your packet, does two things. It formally adopts the project planning document, which states projects 1 through 5 are the recommended solution to this problem. And it also designates an authorized representative. This will be the individual who essentially has to sign everything when it comes to federal and state grants. So that's the gist of the resolution. I think, whether or not a resolution occurs tonight is up to you and your constituents. When that occurs is the moment when we are able to then submit this package to Eagle, and that allows the cogs of the government to continue to churn, however slowly.
If I may, Mr. Mayor?
Can you just go back to Project 4? I think you misspoke, and I just want to correct. I think you said Cobb, and it's supposed to be South Crosby.
Oh, is it mislabeled or mistitled somehow?
You're right. I noticed that too.
Thank you.
And it was on the east side of town, off Crosby Road. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
That was all. I just wanted to make sure that was corrected.
Yeah, the word says Crosby, but the map says Cobb.
Can I jump in?
Yep.
So first of all, Ernie, thank you very much for the presentation. As everybody knows, City Council has 2 public commenting sections. We had the first one already. I don't think that there would be any harm in asking if folks under the same rules wanted to put a comment out. Again, is specific to this. We did receive 1 letter in writing in support of moving things forward today that'll be part of the public record. I know from a staff and engineering perspective, ideally we would like to move forward in getting our submission to the state of Michigan so we can get this get this thing going. But leave it to council. So if you did want to invite anybody up, if they had, I would suggest the 3-minute clock as we've done in the past.
Sure. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm fine
Makes
with that.
sense. Yeah,
Yep.
makes sense.
Thank you.
So I should open up public comment.
Yep.
For the water system improvements.
All right. Hello, council. So I am going to read the letter of support that we received. That was a written letter of support. And I see on the one that maybe was handed out to you this evening, the address was cut off at the top. But this letter is from Steve Schuling, and he is a resident of 1420 Sunnyside Drive. So the subject of the letter, support for proposed city water connection for homes currently served by private wells. Dear members of Cadillac City Council, I am writing to express my support for the proposed project to extend city water service to residences that are currently dependent on private wells. As a homeowner who relies on a well for household water, I believe access to the municipal water system would provide significant benefits in terms of reliability, convenience, and long-term cost savings. In addition to the well itself, I must maintain several water treatment systems to ensure acceptable water quality. These include a water softener, a whole house water filtration system, and a reverse osmosis drinking water system. The water softener alone requires approximately 2.5 bags of salt per month. Beyond the reoccurring cost of salt, there are also costs associated with replacing filters, servicing equipment, and maintaining the well and pump system. Because municipal sewer service is already available, connecting to city water would allow homeowners like me to benefit from a more comprehensive municipal utility service while reducing the burden of maintaining private water infrastructure. City water offers advantages, including rigorous testing, reduced maintenance for homeowners, the elimination of ongoing costs associated with private wells and water treatment equipment, and the risk of unexpected well or pump failures. For these reasons, I strongly support the proposed city water connection project and encourage the City Council to move forward with this initiative. Thank you for your consideration and your continued service to the residents of Cadillac. Respectfully, Steve Schuling.
Good evening. I'm Jolene Kennard. I live at 6700 Crosby Road here in Cadillac. I would be one of the homes that would be affected by this, and I'm here to show my support for this. What I would say, though, is I hope that there's a possibility that those that would like to keep their well could, but I just wanted to let you know that we do support it. Thank you.
Seeing no one else, we'll close the public comment.
I think the people on South Crosby Road are going to be the people who are probably the most interested in keeping the water. As he pointed out, there's not contamination out there, and I know their wells aren't as deep as ours at the water plant. But out of all the places in town where we might meet a group of people that do want to stay in their well, this will probably be could be the section of town. But I mean, that's no reason not to move forward. He pointed out we don't know what the requirements will be. There's benefits to looping the system, and I appreciate you showing up to support that as well.
Yeah, as long as we've waited for this project and process to take shape and take some form, and for us to get the information that we need, this is a step in that process to approve this ordinance, and I would be in favor of advancing it for the benefit of all those homeowners on private wells and those that would want the remediation for their drinking water. So That would be my opinion. Go ahead, Marcus.
Oh, I was just gonna reiterate that, that we are looking at perhaps a once in a lifetime, zero match, 100% funded, multi-million-dollar grant. I'm not sure if we've ever gotten one quite this big without any,
Well,
any match.
yeah, and
so.
and with these grants, there's hoops and steps.
Yep.
Hoops you gotta jump and steps, and this is just finally our first step that we get to take towards that goal. And in terms of, we don't have the details of the grant language yet, so we don't know how many or who, or whether people can defer hooking up with their private wells. But I would say that it probably, in light of the fact that we have potential contamination in this area, generally speaking, it would probably improve your property values to be on municipal water, if you're a well owner and thinking about and debating this decision. But anyway, that's for down the road.
And on that, I'd make a motion to adopt resolution 2026-3651, supporting the project plan document and authorizing Marcus Picha, city manager, to serve as the city's authorized representative for the funding application and related project activities.
Support.
French,
Yes.
Ellen Boss,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Okay. Moving along, the next item is a request for City Council to consider a motion that will adopt a resolution regarding the State Disaster Contingency Fund. This is in regards to the ice storm reimbursement. Again, it's a necessary step in order to receive funding back for some of our costs.
Cut and dried. Motion to adopt resolution 2026-3652, State Disaster Contingency Fund grant request, and authorize Owen Roberts, Director of Finance, to act as representative for the application of financial assistance and provide the state any required information.
Support.
I would also like to point out that the financial burden laid out here to the city of Cadillac is $30,000. I just wanted to say that for the public that's in the packet here.
Thank you.
Ellen Boss,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. The next item for Council's consideration is ballot language in regards to a special millage specifically for the fire department for the purposes of helping to fund personnel, apparatus, and equipment. I would like to read the public council communication document. I think it does a pretty good job in just sort of framing what the topic is. Cadillac Fire Department has a minimum of 3 firefighters on duty 24/7. There's also a full-time fire marshal 5 days per week, and together they respond to all of our emergencies, our fires, our rescues, and medical emergencies. They also provide rental housing safety inspections and oversight, public safety education and outreach, fire investigation, fire code enforcement, community planning and construction plan review, and condemned housing management services. It takes 2 firefighters, sort of as an aside, at a minimum to safely operate a single fire truck. And the fire department responds to approximately 2,700 calls annually, and that volume often requires 2 units readily available to respond at all times. Our call volumes do often necessitate having multiple units in service at any given time. Staffing a fire unit with a single firefighter does compromise, at least in our opinion, safety, limits capabilities, and compromises the services they can provide to whomever or whatever needs assistance. Additional funding to accommodate hiring of additional firefighters is a priority, along with making sure the department, their equipment, and vehicles are fully operational. Life expectancy of fire trucks can vary greatly, depending upon use and how they have been maintained. Current national standards recommend that trucks more than 15 years old only be used as a reserve, and any fire truck more than 25 years old be replaced. The Cadillac Fire Department is currently operating a 27-year-old fire engine, a 32-year-old ladder truck on a daily basis, not as a reserve. Replacement cost of these two units is estimated to be over $3.5 million. All owners of real property, that is homes, land, commercial real estate, pay property tax based on the value of their property. Taxable value is half of the assessed value, and the city, through its 15 mil operating millage, which is $15 in tax, is paid for every $1,000 of taxable value, receives those funds directly into its general fund, which is the fund that is used to provide funding for all services, including the fire department. One exception to that rule is utilities. So water and wastewater, they're funded directly through water and sewer fees, not through property taxes. The ballot proposal that is in front of council this evening for consideration seeks the approval of a 1.85 millage, which is $1.85 in tax paid for every $1,000 of taxable value, for the purpose of funding specifically for fire department personnel, apparatus, which are vehicles, and equipment. The average single-family dwelling in the city has a taxable value of $56,305, which translates to approximately $104 in additional property tax per year for homes of this value, or $8.67 a month. The recommended action this evening would be for City Council to consider approval of that millage language as I mentioned. We do have some of our fire department personnel here. It's hard for me to see everybody. I can see Blake and Bob and Mike and Wes. These folks represent some of the leadership within the fire department, as well as some leadership within the International Association of Firefighters Union. If City Council does consider and adopt the ballot language, this would be a question that goes to the voters. This is not a question that City Council can answer. It's one for the community to address. And it would be on the November general election ballot. The reason why it's at this meeting this evening is because this is, in terms of the timing required to get ballot language to the county so that the county can then formally adopt it as well. This is the last opportunity before that deadline comes later in, I think it's
believe it's
August.
August
Yeah,
4th, I wanna say.
August 4th. So, I'm not sure, Adam, if you or any of your staff have anything you wanted to add. I see our fire marshal is also here, once you backed up.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head.
Okay. Okay.
Unless council.
Oh, sure, it's up, yeah,
mayor has any
council
questions.
for discussion.
I have a question. This one's
Yeah.
probably more for Owen. But is this, would it be correct to say that this is going to allow us to avoid taking out a bond or a loan to buy these trucks?
I would say certainly, yeah, helps with the cash flow for sure.
And if we, I mean, there wouldn't, I know we can't predict the future, but this is going to allow us over the next 3 years to replace those two trucks. 4 years, maybe.
Including use of some of the reserves that we have on hand, but any that we don't use then could be, redirected to another important.
Because we have been saving,
expenditure. Yep.
and we've been applying for grants
Yep.
probably as long as I've been on council.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't gotten any of those. They've been federal grants, state grants.
We have one out there that we're hopeful of that would hopefully cover about half of the ladder truck.
Now, if this doesn't pass, we still have the 27-year-old truck and the 25-year-old truck. We would then have to move forward and take out a bond to make up the gap, because this can only go on for so long. We can only get turned down for so many grants before we have to pull the trigger on it regardless.
That's correct, yep.
And the interest rates have been up and down again in the 10 years that I've been on council. They're not as high as they have been, but they're still, I would say it's an unfavorable bond
It's not
market.
a great environment, especially compared to the last times we've gone out and gotten rates of, in the low twos.
Yeah.
The state financing is typically mid twos, and I would say inevitably they're significantly higher than that at this point.
Okay. And this bond is for 10 years.
The
I'm sorry,
millage
I meant
question.
a millage is for
millage,
10 years. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
That was-
And
Thanks.
I was gonna just clarify a little bit, the city, as Owen said, is out looking for a grant for help with the aerial truck. We would be able to utilize the grant coupled with funding from this millage to offset that cost. And then other general fund priorities, such as roads and other such things could be used. We could look at some of those dollars to use to apply towards some of those other high priorities that we have as well. So,
That was my question too on the bond. Is there some sort of analysis that shows if it does not pass, the bond fees, interest versus what it would cost the homeowners in the taxes?
we don't have that analysis for tonight, but assuming that this makes it to the ballot question, we can certainly look at having something like that before the November election.
Yeah, and that cost analysis is going to be a short term versus a long term. If we have to take out the bond to get those trucks, how many years do we take out bonds for? Are those 10 years as well, or is it longer?
Yeah, so typically a road bond, we've done 15 years. Some of the infrastructure bonds, like for water and sewer, are a little bit longer. The big principle is don't take a bond longer than the life expectancy of the asset that it's funding. So you would imagine 10 to 15 years at the maximum for a piece of equipment.
And as it relates to the trucks, it's going to be cheaper for the taxpayers to buy them this way. But as it relates to the lifetime of a 10 or 15-year bond, where we're just buying those two trucks versus this 10-year millage, those numbers are going to be slightly different because there's still going to be some time in the back half of the millage where the trucks will be purchased and there will still be millage money coming through. And, we've seen the number of developments that we've been building. The tax base will be increasing, but we're going to need to protect those things, the Lakeland apartments, the flats, the lofts, now as they're being built. So I definitely support this effort. So.
Also, making sure operationally in terms of staffing and equipment, it's also just as important too to reiterate, the rental home inspection program. We could look at adding in perhaps some other properties that currently are carved out, such as property,
Harborview.
thank you, Harborview. As of, for instance, where we had received some complaints over the last year about that property specifically, but yet we don't have any authority to necessarily do anything about it. It's not part of the program. But adding in, a property such as that with the current staff levels that we have also creates an additional burden on the officers. And so there's a lot to it, a lot of great benefit if we had the additional resources to bring on some additional firefighters.
Knowing that we need more, does a bond help with personnel costs, or
Not the bond.
machine, or just the trucks?
Yeah, just the trucks.
The millage would cover, allow us to have more freedom to use the funds
Correct.
to cover more needs from personnel to equipment.
Just for the fire department.
Yeah, right, even though it's just for, right, exactly.
Well, I'd make a motion to adopt resolution 2026-3653 approving ballot proposal language that create a millage for 10 years to provide funds for fire department personnel, apparatus, and equipment.
Support.
Diego?
You caught me. Hopkins,
Yes.
Engels,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Okay, moving right along, we have several special guests here that came in from several parts of our country to talk to us about our next proposal, an advanced resilient energy infrastructure proposal. And instead of having me read the council communication that's in the public packet, I am going to turn it over to George and Christian. And if you can get them the controller and their slideshow.
Good evening, Mayor Powell and City Council. I'm George Karianis. I lead Schneider Electric's public sector segment.
Good evening, y'all. My name is Christian Edwards. I'm Vice President of Business Development and Strategy at Butterfly.
Schneider Electric is a 190-year-old global leader in energy technology. We do about $45 billion a year in revenue. And in September of last year, we created an industry ecosystem called the Accelerating Resilient Infrastructure Initiative to really get a collection of industry leaders together to help cities deploy clean energy infrastructure to harden their critical operations and to address energy affordability, and to do this with no capital up front to really help address these capital constraints. And when I first had a conversation with the city manager, the finance director, and the public works director, it was evident to me that Butterfly, in our industry ecosystem, we launched with 20 partners, we're now at 47, that Butterfly was the clear partner of choice for the city of Cadillac because of their real industry leadership working with small and medium customers. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Christian Edwards.
Thanks, George. Butterfly is an energy efficiency as a service company. We are not quite as big as Schneider, but we like to believe we're on our way. We manage 9,000 customer locations nationwide. And as George mentioned, we focus on the small and medium end of the commercial and municipal market. And we have found that long tail of buildings are largely underserved by some other larger players, and it's hard to find solutions. And we've been able to tailor our solution to that end of the market. And what we do is we finance, we own, we operate, we maintain all of our energy upgrades for our customers. So we handle the project planning, we handle the project execution, we use our capital to purchase the upgrades, we maintain and execute those projects for the life of the term. At Cadillac, we are proposing a zero capital plan focused on community resilience at City Hall and the wastewater treatment plant, additional solar generation and energy storage at the main water building with the well fields, then also the secondary well field location, and then also baking in our core energy efficiency suite, which at the wastewater treatment plant will include SCADA software and updated variable frequency drives, as well as changeouts for the HVAC units at all of the buildings that we're contemplating here, some of which are quite old. And we would put brand new units there, also change out some lights at a few of the facilities we're looking at. So our proposed investment is $4.4 million. The bulk of that is in the solar and storage. So it's about $3.8 million. We're also proposing a level 2 EV charger here at the municipal complex. And then the remainder of that spend, about $600,000, is made up of the SCADA software and the drives, refreshing the MCC at the wastewater treatment plant, and then changing out or upgrading the HVAC systems at the sites, as well as adding some metering and intelligent thermostats to improve the measurement and control capabilities throughout this building ecosystem. We do require a preventive maintenance program for all of the units that we put in. It's a per unit cost. It comes out to about $900 a month for the fleet, all 7 of the buildings that we're looking at. And that's just to make sure that the units themselves are maintaining their efficiency throughout the life of the agreement. We also look at exhaust fans. There's a bunch of them at the wastewater treatment plant. We did work with Jeff to exclude 6 that are kind of high priority lab connected. So we'll keep those on kind of the specialty program that they have there. It's a 15-year agreement. There is no upfront charge. We'll share back 30% of demand response revenue generated by the storage with the with the city. And then if we're able to hit a 70% savings, we'll share back 50-50 beyond that point with the city as well. That is a little bit of a stretch goal. I think we model about 65%, but if we can find 5% more savings, then there's a shared benefit to both parties. This last slide, there we go. This kind of lays out, well, we're missing the title line, but it says which facility, what the utility spend is at that facility today, what Butterfly's proposed investment is. The next slide is the amount of solar in kilowatts to be added. The slide after that is the amount of storage in kilowatt hours to be added. After that is the HVAC units at that site with the number that will be changed out. As you can see, the 0 to 3 at that new water main building, there's nothing really to be done there. They're pretty brand new. But here and then at the wastewater plant, there's some old units. Lighting, and then microgrid, which I think is something that I kind of breezed over. So for both the municipal complex and the wastewater treatment plant, we're going to size the solar and storage so those can be islanded in times of like grid blackouts. And so the wastewater treatment plant will be much more resilient. And then this facility could serve as a command center, control center in an event that have access to the grid. Exactly, but a generator that's powered by the sun, at least for critical loads in those moments. So that's the scope of the project that we are proposing, and I'll pause there, see if there's any questions.
So I will advise this is an opportunity that came forward from one of our commissioners that serves on our LDFA and our Brownfield Authority. Brian Warner did the introduction to me to these gentlemen here this evening. And over the course of, about 6 months, give or take? Yep. We went through a rather thorough debrief with them and analysis before we got here this evening. Speaking frankly on behalf of myself and my staff, I think we're really excited to see how this would work in reality. And I think that there's even potential for this type of system to benefit some of our industries in the community as well.
Yeah, that's correct. We're in conversations with the AAR facility. So we went over there and visited them and talked about this as well. And we're continuing discussions with them to offer a similar infrastructure upgrade with no capital needed by them.
Great.
When you say islanding in the time of blackouts, so when there's not a blackout, does that mean if there's excess energy, it gets pushed out? When there is a blackout, it's kept just to power that building? Can you explain that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So if the grid is connected, it will just generate from the roof to the building as much as possible. And then if there's excess, it'll pop over to the storage. And then if there is a blackout, we'll use the Schneider microgrid controller, which is software enabled to identify that and then flip over. And we would have like a critical load panel that basically says, here's the most important stuff within the facility. And you can kind of, there's levers on that, as we want everything on for a small amount of time. We want these things on for a longer amount of time. And so that's the islanding, is you can remove yourself from the grid, but it would be fully capable of operating if the grid was connected and using as much as can be generated. And then there are demand charges in the utility bill for the city. So by having storage, you can lower how much you're using at any given time, which is a relatively significant portion of the utility bill.
And this costs the city nothing for 15 years. What happens in year 16?
Yeah, it's a great question. So on paper, right, like can't foresee the future, but on paper, at that point, everything is owned by the city. You guys have essentially like finished the contract. You can take it and assume full ownership of it, take it forward, maintain it yourselves, do all of that. You could re-up with Butterfly, and we could say, okay, cool, in the last 15 years, where has technology gone? Is there another turn of efficiency that we can use to generate these savings and, do another infrastructure upgrade? Maybe in year 5, you want to add some more buildings into the program, and then we kind of have a carry on there. So if it were to end, let's say, you guys would just get everything.
So I think, Mr. Mayor, if I can polish a little bit, and jump in if I go way off and I'm wrong. What will happen is during the interim period of time, the city benefits, 1, by not having to put any capital money into it, 2, by having a host of different upgrades occurring at our sites that, again, are occurring on behalf of Butterfly, putting them in without cost to us, all that are going to help reduce our overall energy footprint. And then 3, the way that they get paid, because they're not doing this because they're great guys, but the way that they get paid is by sharing with us cost savings, basically over that 15-year period on a percentage basis. And so that's where he had mentioned if we hit a certain threshold, it becomes a 50-50 split. Otherwise, it's a 70-30 split. And then at the end of the term, at the end of the 15 years, we have everything lock, stock, and barrel, or we look at re-upping, like maybe there's another strategy with different technology that isn't even here today, and then they'll redo their analysis to see if it makes sense to do it. They would not be here if there wasn't enough opportunity for this program to work for everybody.
So we're talking solar panels then?
Yeah, so it's solar panels. It's primarily ballasted ground systems. And then at this building, I think we would put it on the roof is what we're contemplating. Then storage, so lithium battery storage, which enables that kind of like islanded enablement so you can maximize what you're making. And then also lighting changeouts, HVAC changeouts, variable fuel drives. We worked with Schneider's wastewater treatment division to identify a few updates at that plant, which will improve the overall efficiency and give much better operational insight to the city there. So it's mostly driven by solar and storage in terms of the spend, but there are these other infrastructure efficiency upgrades.
You done any groundwork looking where you're going to put this at? I mean, as far as ground solar.
Yes, so we worked with Larry, who was involved in the Solar for All grant, to identify the systems that kind of had been, or the locations that had been identified through that process, and we're pretty much matching that like for like. So we know that there was a lot of work done there, and we're kind of following that footprint.
So just to be clear, at the municipal facility, you're suggesting solar panels on the roof. At the wastewater plant, there's spaces where we'll put a solar.
Yeah, there's a few options, and we've spoken with Jeff around future plans for, some of the capital projects there as to like what is in play or out of play. And we've identified, I think, a few areas where we can reach our target.
Jeff gave the Butterfly folks in-person tour of all of the different sites. They came up here, was it a month or 2 ago?
It was right after the flood.
Was it April?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
How time flies, right? So they were up here in April doing site visits to make sure, again, that this isn't just a pipe dream and that it could work. And of course, at our wastewater plant and our water plant, Jeff is well aware of potential needs down the road for future expansion. So none of this would impact that. So.
Who in Michigan have you set this up with?
It's great. We have I think about 100 customers in Michigan, maybe a little bit more. No other municipalities, but plenty of small and medium businesses, which is our typical focus area.
What's their biggest con?
Their biggest con is typically handing over control. Because for some people, it's a plus to have somebody else handle all that stuff that I mentioned. For other people, that can be very hard, especially for small business owners who are very focused on their operation and typically have a lot of control over that environment. To be able to hand that over, I think, is something that does cause friction sometimes.
Have you done any municipalities?
This will be our first.
It's almost, I'm filing this under too good to be true, and I am a pessimist.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Brian,
Sorry, I'm trying to find something.
I'm more excited with a question.
It doesn't sound right, does it?
It doesn't. Does
Brian,
not.
what
There-
did
yeah,
they
there's
put?
something.
What?
Brian Warner, though, brought
I know, and
it.
I have a,
Right,
I
I
have
have
so much
confidence
respect
in
for Brian
Brian.
Warner.
Yeah.
You know that. And if
Schneider's
that's-
worked with public sector agencies for over a century, and we understand the budget constraints. That's why we developed this program.
Like I just said, if it's got the Brian Warner stamp of approval.
Where is the $4 million that you're willing to spend on us coming from for you? I
Yeah.
mean, is it government funded?
It's not government funding. We raise money in the private market. So this business model we do all day, every day. This is all we do is we offer this no capital up front solution to folks. And so with that, through the 9,000 sites we've done, we're able to leverage that to raise the capital to do those projects, showing that we're able to meet the cost of money essentially. And so we've raised about $600 million from private markets in order to execute these projects.
In our, just perhaps for some more peace of mind, our commissioner was a part of the preliminary conversations with Butterfly and with Schneider, along with city staff. We did it all remotely because of different locations, but very enthusiastic about this opportunity. Great way for the city to get some upgrades without having to spend capital dollars, and really improve our energy efficiency, which, at least on the utility operation side of things, cost of energy being where it's at, that's one of our highest expenses.
And so this second column right here is what we're currently spending on energy. Is that correct?
The first, yes, the second column after the name of the building.
That is the current energy expenses for the year.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing too, that it's the first municipality that you've done, but from a facilities standpoint, a building standpoint, this municipal building plus the wastewater building isn't that much different, and is probably, I'm sure you deal with corporations, even AAR's needs, that this is right in the range, and probably a smaller or a medium, like.
Yeah, we've done a number of manufacturing facilities that have similar challenges to the wastewater treatment plant, and then it would surprise you how hard it is to do these projects at like a McDonald's. So some of our engineers actually really appreciate like an office building type setup where it's a lot of lighting, a lot of HVAC, a pretty new roof up there as well. So when we did the site walk, and my colleague Abade, who deals with a lot of our project management on this sort of stuff, can speak to this as well. We were very excited about our ability to execute the vision here.
I'm curious what it's going to look like, though, because of Mitchell, the buildings that look at the roof out their windows.
Mitchell.
Or Main Street.
Like the lofts and
The lofts, what are they going to see?
I don't know that our roof is all that beautiful right
No.
now. But.
I mean, right now they see HVAC equipment, and
worse.
Depending upon where you're looking, you'll see elevator equipment. We don't have an elevator here,
Mural
but
on it.
yeah,
They're going to see energy independence.
Yeah.
And is there any way to estimate, like, the energy that we produce, that you produce with the solar, is that totally going to be used up and will still need to be on the bill with consumers, or are
Yeah, we're not gonna take 100% of the bill away.
Okay.
We think, and again, this is modeling, and the real world will answer the question. We think we're gonna take about 65% of the bill down. And again, that's a combination of generating the solar and then leveraging the storage to offset the demand charges, which are how much do you use at one specific moment. And so you can shave that peak down a little bit.
are you going to be able to still, with our very cloudy days that we have and
Great question.
much of the year?
Right question. And the snow. We model based off the production factor, which is a solar term that takes into account a given area's ability to produce off one panel. And that's like a zip code level situation. So we can say, okay, we're going to put it here. That panel is going to get this much, so we need to have this much in order to generate this much. And so that's how we size the system. And then we've already been in conversations with Jeff around how we can get into the flow of really just like brushing off the panels with the snow. But it's really just like a brush, pretty quick thing. And I think one of the nice things is most of these locations are heavily frequented, even in those times of year, because they are pretty critical infrastructure. So there should be some folks out there who can, kind of build that into the routine.
100% of the performance risk falls to Butterfly.
Yeah, sorry, I should have mentioned that as well. So like if it only produces 75% of what we model, that's on our side of the fence. And the outcome to the city is kind of set at the beginning.
And if you replace a whole HVAC system, is that what I hear you say? What, like if something happened to it, who comes and fixes it, or who comes and fixes the next morning or that night?
It's a great question. So we maintain a national network of maintenance and repair contractors because we have 9,000 of these sites, and on the machine it says call Butterfly if this breaks. We are responsible for chasing down the equipment warranty if it's an equipment problem. If it's a problem with the workmanship, we maintain 12-month workmanship warranties with all of our installation contractors. Now, if it's somebody went up on the roof and like messed around with it, we'll have a conversation around who bears that risk. But assuming that there's nothing other than the regular course of operation, we'll handle the reactive service and warranty stuff as well.
That's a big step, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're
this is really
being innovative.
Yeah,
It will
makes
put
me
the city
nervous.
at the forefront in the country. It really will.
Well, it sounds like a grand experiment to me.
What I would say is that all of the stuff we're proposing has been done lots and lots of times, whether by us or by other people. It is definitely an experiment in some cases, but we're not saying let's, I don't know, put some blimps up there or something, like it's achievable.
The real difference here is a lot of cities have done energy savings performance contracts where they get their HVAC systems upgraded, but the asset stays on the city's books. It is debt. So those projects are generally bond funded. And what's truly unique here is this is energy as a service. So it's third-party capital funded. They own, maintain, operate all of those assets. They bear all of the risk. That's what's so exciting about this model. That's why we're very excited to bring it to you.
And the only new thing is that we're a municipality, which I really don't think is all that far of a stretch based on what I've heard. So
If we don't like it the first year, whatever, who takes it off and down or deconstructs?
I was going to ask, is there a bailout situation?
Yes, there is a buyout paradigm into the contract with, not to get too deep into contract specifics, but there will be a point at which you can buy out the unamortized portion of the investment if you decide to exit the program.
Similar to residential.
I got to say I'm not super familiar.
but if we were at the point where we were trying to buy out the unamortized portion, with $4 million, regardless of where that point was, we wouldn't have that money saved. That would be a bond issue if we went that route.
That would be problematic.
Yeah, so it's a 10-year amortization
you'd
on
still
the equipment
have-
and the investment that they make. So if you make it 5 years, basically you're having to come up with 50% of the initial investment, but then you get all the benefits.
And the bond issue wouldn't be a problem insofar as you're getting still what you paid for. You're not, buying out a contract that has nothing attached to it. You're finishing the purchase of equipment.
Yeah.
And you're
So
getting
you-
100% of the cost savings as well.
I'm gonna just go back to the maintenance issue.
Sure.
If you have maintenance concerns, you mentioned the contractors that you deal with around the country. Do you deal with local contractors at all in this process if there's a electrical or a maintenance issue that?
Yeah, it's a great question. For the reactive service portion, we're always happy to engage with preferred contractors for any of our customers. So if the city has folks that they like to use for HVAC or lighting or anything like that, we can make them the first call. For the survey and install portion, it's a little bit bigger project, so we typically like to work with folks that we have a longer term relationship with just to make sure that goes well. But for that reactive service, we certainly understand the value of having somebody close or somebody that or that knows the facility, and that's something we do with many of our customers.
What's your opinion?
I think we go for it. We've been working with this group before I even had a phone call with anyone that's here tonight. I spent, my God, at least an hour or two talking with our commissioner, Brian Warner, about this. And then he came in and not just shared with me his thoughts about it, but also met with our utilities director, who, by the way, would be here if he could, but he's not available this evening. But he's also a thumbs up for it. But he spent a lot of time talking to him about the savings. And then as we started to then work with Butterfly on this whole concept, we added in some of these other buildings to make it make better sense if we were going to do it. It was originally just looking at the wastewater and water. So
Ooh, you know, if it goes sideways, who it's gonna fall on?
everything ultimately falls here, regardless.
Okay,
So,
just
I would have liked
good,
to
bad,
have
and
had
otherwise.
I would have liked to have had a little heads up earlier, because this is a
Yeah.
lot to digest. in-
Well,
at one
we've been
time.
sharing. I've been sharing all of the PowerPoints and
Okay,
slides.
that was something
for,
that did
oh
come
yeah.
out a few months ago, I do
Yeah.
remember
Yep.
that.
Oh yeah.
This is a huge
Yeah.
step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really big.
So sometimes I think, just like when we jumped down, I don't think anyone was here other than perhaps Councilmember Engels, when we jumped into some of the public space projects. Cadillac Commons, started out with the plaza, and then the pavilion and the market. We jumped into some of these not knowing exactly where, the final funding was going to come from, but we had to get it going in order to try to generate some of that excitement that ultimately led to donations and other grants coming forward. Different concept, but in terms of that leap of faith, if council didn't take that leap of faith jump, we wouldn't have the facilities and the spaces that we have today. Here we're asking council to do the same thing.
Well,
Okay.
philosophically, I'm all for alternative energy advancement in
Yep.
wherever we can build it and find it.
It's one of our goals is to be as environmentally conscious as we can.
Yeah, and from an emergency management perspective, we have an aging generator that that has been on the replacement list for as long as I've been here. And the idea that when the power goes out, that we'll be able to, as you said, island the municipal complex and make sure the door is open so the fire trucks can get out, or that the heat stays on if it's a warming center during the winter. Or any number of things that we might use our facilities for if we're without power for a day, a couple days. I think that's always something, being up here in the middle of the forest in a rural community, that I think you have to think about. And I think this moves us closer to taking care of that need as well. So.
Where would those batteries be stored for this facility?
I'd have to look at the map.
And how big are they? When you talk about
Yeah,
you're
it's a good
talking
question.
power?
They're no larger than a generator, that's for sure.
Okay.
So it's not like a massive thing. The one for the wastewater treatment plant, the sizing on that one is a little bit bigger because that facility uses so much. So to really effectively do it, that'll be a little bit bigger. But the ones here, I could get you exact measurements, but it's like,
Have you looked to see around here where you put it?
yeah, when we did the site visits, so myself and Abade came out here, and as Marcus was mentioning, Jeff took us around everywhere, and we really kind of honed that in. I'm just having trouble pulling the map, and I don't want to misspeak.
Okay. Well, let's make up our minds then. I make a motion to waive competitive bidding and authorize an agreement with Butterfly to have Schneider Electric and Butterfly modernize municipal infrastructure and improve resilience against power disruptions.
Support.
Engels,
Yes.
French,
Going out on a limb, I'll say yes.
Ellenboss,
Sure. Let's try it.
Hopkins,
Yes, let's do it.
Mayor Powell.
I don't see Owen cringing.
He's actually smiling, actually, yeah.
The hardest to convince, probably.
Yeah.
And I trust Brian.
Yes.
Yes,
I do
indeed.
too.
That's the
So-
deciding factor.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yes.
Yeah. Unanimous.
May we approach?
Certainly.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Wish you the best.
Thank you.
Go get it.
Look forward to working.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you. You will not be
Yes.
disappointed.
I'm looking
Good to see you in
forward to
person.
this plan developing.
Thank you.
Yes, good luck.
I think we might need the luck too.
What's that?
We might need the luck too.
Yeah, well, right.
This is huge.
Yeah,
This
when
is
I
really,
say-
yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's a
groundbreaking.
big deal. It
is.
It's groundbreaking.
Especially since
Um,
it's not anyplace else in northern Michigan or municipality.
Well,
They do have
Mayor-
a lot going on in Michigan. And
Yes.
like I said, I think the only limb we're going on is that we're a municipality, so I think we're in good hands.
They've got 9,000 other customers, so.
Yeah.
Doing something right, aren't they?
That's right. That's right.
Mm.
So thank you all. I appreciate the conversation and discussion. Very helpful. The next item under the report is the annual city manager adjustment request. The council communication in the packet identifies what I was looking for. I put together some notes as well, just to try to create some further context for not just city council, but really just as a more of a reminder or sort of a refresher for a general public. And so I'm going to kind of read off my notes. So a bit, quick history. In January of this year, the City Council, after nearly 3 years without an adjustment, took into consideration an analysis that indicated how my position is approximately 14 to 24% below average in base compensation, kind of depending on how that data is organized. The data in that analysis was organized in 5 different ways, and Council adjusted my compensation by 9%, which left me at about 5% below the lowest average reported from last winter. That analysis also included sort of a litany or a long list of projects and highlights and other activities that I've ushered through while serving our city and frankly continue to try to grow that list in every way possible. In fact, the action the council just took a second ago is an example of something that I think puts us on the map and hopefully will put us on the map in a really good way. So, while perhaps better known, by members of our council and other boards and commissions, projects that we work on, especially when working with other agencies, groups, and developers, they just simply take time. Cadillac Lofts, completion of their phase 2, for instance, has perhaps taken the longest amount of time, several years, in fact. I mean, that thing has been out there. We've been talking about it. We've been working with the developers, working with the state of Michigan, trying to help them with grant funding to finish that thing off. Cooley School is another example of a project that's been in the hopper for quite a while. And I'm sharing this, because I feel like, just our society in general is in a place in time where, everybody wants sort of that instant gratification. We expect things to happen very quickly. Probably, my humbled opinion, because we have technology out there that can get things done for us as a society pretty quickly. There's access to information that's instant. And, it doesn't matter how good your tech is, things just still take time to develop. And so, getting back to, why this evening council is being asked to consider an adjustment as a refreshment, back in January as well as in June when I had my last annual review, City Council mentioned the desire to get things back on track with an annual adjustment, and for that consideration to basically happen separate from the annual review, and to occur generally when we're doing it with the rest of city staff. And so the rest of city staff has an annual COLA, cost of living adjustment, that goes into place every July 1. July 1 coincides with the start of our new fiscal year. And that's why I'm coming forward this evening, because it's been after the evaluation period happened. It is still within sort of an arm's throw of the July 1 date. I know we're going to get together this fall or winter and try to more or less button up a timing schedule so that ideally maybe I'm doing the review with the council in May or April, and then having my request come in June so that it's already in place and I'm not asking for something to be retroactive to July 1. But neither here nor there. We are here today given the timing of how everything transpired. The packet includes a cost of living adjustment range that correlates to what we did across the board for all of our union and non-union staff. That range over the last couple of years is from 3 to 4%, the average being around 3.5, 3.6%. And I'm just simply asking City Council to consider providing me with an annual cost of living adjustment somewhere within that range to be effective this past July 1. And I don't think I have anything else to add at this point.
I believe we were discussing to meet up in November, December, so we can button up our evaluation process, so we can get better parameters, goals. I believe Councilmember Ingalls said that so we can take some notes throughout the year to bring to the table in November. That's where I'm at right now.
You want to delay it then? Is that what you're saying?
Or
you just want to table it for, I mean, where are we going?
I'm not in favor of giving him one right now, because I do want to set up better parameters and goals and for future coming up. Yep.
My thoughts, while I fully supported the biggest city manager raise that, I voted on since I've been here at 9%, which I think was earned and deserved, I'm also going to vote no on a raise on this raise.
But if you want to wait until, what are your plans then, David? In
November,
so,
yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, we're gonna in November when we can meet, so we can set better parameters, so he can meet the goals that we establish for future for 2028. Right?
Okay. So in other words, no raise this year. We'd be looking at it next year. Set up the parameters.
2027.
Or 2027. Yes.
2027.
Yes.
No raise. Set up parameters for next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think everything that going forward, when we sit down in November, December, it would be going forward to meet those goals, to hit where he wants to be, a COLA at 3% or whatever it could be.
That means we'll be behind a year then, if we don't do a raise in 27.
He's just going to miss a raise, that's all.
What's that?
He's going to miss a raise. He's not
Yeah,
gonna get one.
right. He'll miss a raise for 27, which will put him even further behind than where we were in January with the comps. Owen, in order to address this, do we need a 3 or 4 person vote? I mean, what's for this kind of a vote?
So you need 4 for a budget appropriation, but the budget includes, accommodation. Obviously, it can't pay more than a contract, but the budget would accommodate it.
The budget would accommodate, so.
It does, but so that money's already been appropriated.
Right.
And I certainly appreciate, I know when Owen, and correct me if I'm wrong, when Owen prepares the budget, you operate under a loose assumption that there might be something comparable to what the police is getting. So there's a 3 or 4% increase baked into the city manager line item.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
That we approve when
Right.
we did the budget. Because we've had multiple times where if we've voted on it or we've made something retroactive where we hadn't had to adjust the budget. And I definitely am happy with the way Owen does that. And I like that he keeps doing that. When we have a larger raise, we need the amendment. When it's similar to a COLA, we don't. So I'm glad Owen is going to keep doing it that way. And I definitely have, like I said, I'm proud to have voted for the 9% raise in January.
But
And
let's-
I look forward to having the conversation again in 2027, but that's where I'm at, so.
But let's clarify, and again, every time I hear 9% from the people out there, I have to remind them, that was over 3 years. That's
Right.
3% a year, it wasn't.
Right. That was retroactive,
Yeah.
going, covering 3 years.
Owen, can you clarify,
retro.
Owen?
Wasn't
we
retroactive.
Well,
need
no-
4 votes or 3?
But it had been
Sorry.
after.
This is not appropriating money, so in my opinion, it's just approval of a contract, which would be a majority.
3?
Now, to answer Brian's question maybe
Thank
in a
you.
more useful way, if the raise were another 9% at this moment, the budget amendment would be needed.
That's
Right.
correct.
So there is a
Yes.
threshold to whether or not a budget amendment would need to follow.
Just for the public record, I'm not asking for 9%.
Oh, no, I
No,
wanted to
right.
make the
Okay.
question useful,
Right.
because
Yeah.
what you were asking was a useful question.
I worked here for 13 years, and there was a 3-year period I didn't get a raise. You've never seen so many city employees with poor attitudes. You know, I have a hard time not giving the man a raise, even not 4%, but he's done a decent enough job. Mistakes have been made. Everybody makes mistakes. I made mistakes at the cemetery, but it's just terrible not to give somebody a raise.
I agree.
That people that don't get raises are inept and don't deserve them. I just have a hard time with this because of what I went through, and I know what it can do to a person's attitude.
Still smiling.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. That's my end of it from personal experience in the workplace. Scott?
You don't have to say yes or no. I mean, we don't even have a motion, so.
True, we don't.
Spit it out, son.
I hear what you're saying. I mean, you're right. I mean, I've been years without raises too, or raises that were so tiny that they didn't really matter. So, yeah, I hate to not reward somebody for putting their time in with it too. I don't know that 4%'s that percent.
That's
but
that's not gonna work.
Yeah, and again, I just shared that's what it is across the board in the organization. I didn't specifically ask for any percent adjustment in that range. I just shared what the range was. So,
But I
Well-
do agree with your idea in November, December, getting together
I
Yes,
would like
I
to
totally
get
agree with
together and
that.
discuss the
and hammer out something better.
scheduling, the
Yes.
protocols, but, I would still like to, for the 27 fiscal year at least, have a minimal, amount that we could, give Marcus a raise for, because I feel like we're still doing catch-up here, from, the last, or those 3 years where, he received no increase. So I would suggest,
Do you-
2.5.
You can make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion.
I would make a motion, not 2.5, but I'd make a motion to approve the request by adjusting compensation retroactive to July 1st, 2026 by 2%. Direct the city attorney to document the change in a 12th amendment to the employment agreement and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement once approved to form by the city attorney. And my feelings again of this are from personal experience. You
Second.
gotta have a proper attitude to work in a place and give 100.
I'll support that.
French. 2%.
Yes.
2%'s the number.
2%.
So French, yes?
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Angles,
No.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
No.
okay. One more item, guys, and gals, Ruth Ann. Thank you, Mayor,
one of the
members of the
guys.
City Council. Looking forward to November, and hopefully we can sort of once and for all get this process down
Yes.
straight. At least with our current council, I feel like we're always there's always something every year with it. And I have been, by the way, I think the longest serving manager for this community in that role. I would have to fact check it, but at least in that role, not the longest serving employee, obviously. But just sort of throwing that out there as an FYI. Yeah. So the last item is a recommendation for City Council to approve a grant resolution and to set a public hearing for August 17th, 2026 at 6 p.m. This is in regards to a rather significant grant that we're looking at obtaining for public infrastructure related to Mitchell Street, Chapin Street, the area surrounding Cadillac Bluffs Phase 2. Teresa, are there any other areas within that grant app?
Nope. That is
Nope,
all
okay.
correct.
Oh, thank you, Connie. Parking spaces on Cass as well. So,
Parking spaces on Cass.
yeah, similar to what we did on, is it on Cass or is it on Chapin?
The road project is Chapin Street.
Okay.
It goes to Shelby, to Mitchell. It's in front of Mitchell, on
Okay.
Mitchell, in front of the lofts where the G&D driveway used to be.
Mhm.
And then there are parking spaces on Cass Street and those two structures that sink down and it fixes the lane width. on
Gotcha.
Cass Street.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I make a motion to set a public hearing for August 17th, 2026 at 6 p.m. during the city council meeting to consider an application from the city for a Mishta Community Development Block Grant.
Support.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Engels,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. On to minutes and reports of boards and commissions.
I know the planning commission has been working very hard. I see they're
Yes.
going to continue working hard.
Yes.
A lot of meetings, a lot of minutes. Thank you as well for being on the
Yeah,
planning
thanks
commission.
to planning commission.
This is the real hard work, so.
Didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
I got the 2% and the dates in there, so.
I'm sorry.
I thought she was saying something.
No, just a minute.
Okay. We will open up public comment once again, and the same rules apply.
I've been debating this. My name is Carol Bohorsky. I only know one person here, Mr. Ellen Boss. My son has told me that when a new company comes into the city of Cadillac or whatever city, they have to agree to follow the rules and regulations of the city. And there has to be a statement or paperwork or whatever that they have to fill out or sign or say that, yes, I'm going to follow these rules and regulations. And like after listening to the man about the library and the lease agreement, kind of debated if I should even bother coming up here. I live in a private mobile home park. And when I asked for help from the city of Cadillac, I was told that they couldn't help me because it was a private mobile home park. But even though it's a private mobile home park, we have Leisure Park and we have this Pheasant Ridge and all the private buildings that come in, these new apartments and all these things that come into Cadillac, they all have to sign an agreement to follow the rules and regulations of the city of Cadillac. It's from what my son has told me, who he is an official for the city of Muskegon. So basically, if Muskegon has rules and regulations, Cadillac should have rules and regulations. I just don't know if this is the right board or people to ask. Where do I go to get this information? Or do I have to ask the planning board or whoever those, that, because I've never been to another meeting before. I only come here. And the last time I came here is because I had to walk home from the hospital after being there. And I almost had to walk home a couple of weeks ago after having a heart attack, but some man drove me home for $10. So, because there's no way to get home in the middle of the night when you have no family. So I just need to know, where do I go to the courthouse to get a deed, or is there's got to be something where these people have to sign, yes, I will follow your rules and regulations if you let me open up a company or a building or apartments or whatever to come into your city. They have to follow the rules just like the people who live in the city in houses or whatever. And like I asked at the front desk several times, Mr. Ellenboss knows, and I was told that we can't help you because it's a private property. But still, they have to fill out paperwork and agree to the rules and regulations to the city. But who holds that paperwork? And do I go to the deeds department at the courthouse? Do I go to the city clerk's office? Where do I get that paperwork? Because when I get it, I can send it to Lansing, to the licensing bureau, and get taken care of what our problem is over in Country Acres. Because I live across the street from the second city dump.
Okay, your time is almost up.
Yeah.
But we can answer that at the good of the order.
At the what?
Good to the order, that's next.
Next up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. Well, just, yeah. Sure, yeah.
Like I said, I've never only done this a couple times.
Hi guys, Bob Verdi. I'm the secretary for the Cadillac Firefighters Local 704. I have Mike Fisk with me and Nate Sharp. So on behalf of the Cadillac Professional Firefighters Local 704, we would like to say thank you to the mayor, city council, the city manager, and our public safety director for hearing our concerns and bringing our ballot proposal forward, looking out for the safety of your Cadillac firefighters. We look forward to hitting the streets, and we're excited to help people understand how important this proposal is and what it can do to help improve their safety. So, thank you.
We're lucky to have you. You do a great job.
Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Seeing no one else, we'll close public comment and we'll go to the good of the order.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. We just had a resident inquire about assistance needed at the mobile home facility that she's at. Mobile home parks in the state of Michigan are treated very differently than other private developments. Under state law, it restricts what the local unit of government or the city can do. I can't make any guarantees that there's anything we'll be able to do because we have to abide by the state law that essentially takes away our ability to enforce certain things within the mobile home park. One quick, for instance, is garbage service. So, you know, if you're in the city of Cadillac and you're living in a single-family home, you're part of the franchised garbage service. But mobile home parks are exempt from that. And that's why there's a different company, I think, Good for Life, GFL, is used because that's under the authority of the park operator. But if you wouldn't mind, Teresa, our community development director, is right there. Maybe give her your name, number, a good way to contact you, and share with us what your concerns are. We'll see if there's anything we can do to help. You're welcome. Also wanted to mention earlier this evening, we had a family that stepped forward regarding concerns about what I'll just call nefarious activity along the Clam River Greenway. One, you know, it is a public space, and so we can't put up signs saying no loitering. That being said, we still have rules. You know, you're not allowed to camp, and our public parks close at 11. Also, I can advise that the police department is on it. This is involving juveniles. There is still activity occurring with police, and so we can't really comment anymore. But we're well aware of the situation out there, and we are on it.
I'd like to say I look forward to this fall getting together and hammering the situation out about the raises, because it's vitally important. If you're going to be a good mayor, if we're going to be a good council, we've got to be on the same page.
Yep.
All right?
Yep.
You know that.
Yep.
So let's work together, push the city forward, and get something done.
Yep.
All right?
Yep.
Well said, Brian.
That's what we're all about, I believe. Yep. I know you are too, even though you beat me in the election. Don't think I'm gonna forget that.
Well, and I would, of course, be remiss to say that I understand, I think, where everyone's coming from. Mayor and Councilmember Engels, I mean, heck, Robert, we've been together for, I can't even count how many years at this point. And I do appreciate everyone's support, and I realize that you know, a nay vote or a no vote isn't necessarily representational of your feelings for me as your city manager. I look at it as a vote about the process and looking at trying to button up some other things as well. And, you know, I just tried to bring this back as soon as I could, because knowing that, especially if we're looking at anything retroactively, the longer time goes by, the more difficult that could be. So that was why you had it here this morning, and I figured there was that this evening, there was that separation between process of eval versus where we were at. So, but I appreciate everybody's support, certainly. Thank you, and looking forward to continuing to press on. We've got a lot of good things happening.
Yes.
Let's go eat ice cream.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of ice cream, I'm looking at August or September.